What's up, guys? This is Adam22, your loyal host here at The Come Up, and I wanted to make a vlog today. I know I don't do a lot of vlogs on here. I do most of the vlogging thing mostly on the No Jumper channel. But, well, first off, where am I right now? This is kind of a weird backdrop, right? Well, I'm actually in the room where I grew up. Now, not technically, I didn't grow up here, but I moved here into this house with my parents when I was 13, and I lived here until I was 19. So as a result, there are a lot of weird BMX historical pieces, such as issues of Faction BMX magazine. I had to make sure it wasn't called BMX Action at that time, as well as, you know, amazing pieces of history like the Blackout video, which was a huge big deal in the New England scene at the time. Shout out to Matt Busby. In the Life, one of the lesser known Ride BMX videos from the time. Various editions of the Sombra Saga, which was the Els Bells video series that was coming out in the late 90s and everything. Old school Mutiny videos before Randy Taylor, rest in peace, before, well, when Morgan Wade was still on the team, when Joe Simon was still riding, when Walter Perringer was still riding. You know, I have all these crazy pieces of BMX history in my room that just, they remind me of where I come from and why I got into BMX in the first place, because, you know, I'm in a very different place in my life at 32 than I was at 13 when I got into BMX. And the real reason I'm making this video, the reason why I'm making a vlog on the Come Up BMX channel in the first place, is because I'm right now in the very midst of two very important milestones in the history of the Come Up. Number one, 5 days ago was the 10th anniversary of the Come Up as a BMX website. I started a blogspot almost exactly 10 years ago, and it has been the craziest ride that has changed my life in every possible imaginable way. But then also on top of that, right now, the Come Up is 400 subscribers away from hitting 300,000. And considering that we get about 400 or 500 subscribers a day, that means that we're going to hit 300,000 subscribers probably tomorrow, maybe the next day. But, I mean, both of those milestones really just, I'm not a date person. I don't pay attention to other people's birthdays. I don't expect anybody to acknowledge my birthday. I don't tell anybody when it's my birthday. I'm not like a holiday guy. I don't remember people's birthdays, that kind of stuff. And I actually think it's really fucking corny when I see people celebrating like, oh, I just hit 10,000 Instagram followers, 100,000, you know, like, and I get it, I've done it. You know, you hit 100K, you make a little post about it, you say, hey, this is fucking dope, I'm happy, whatever. But I don't like to call too much attention to that stuff, because at the end of the day, they're just numbers. Like, 100,000 is good, 101,000 is good, but I don't really see what makes 100 that much more impressive than 101, except for the fact that, yeah, it's a big, nice round number to look at, sure. But, I mean, the fact that both of these events have coincided at about the same time, and also I just remember that I'm wearing this stupid-ass dark blue V-neck that my mom gave me because I didn't have any clean sweaters before, and this is a really fucking stupid look. You know, you're not supposed to, well, are you? Are you supposed to wear a V-neck just over a black t-shirt like this? I feel like this looks dumb. Whatever. People kept commenting today on Instagram saying that I look good, or like I looked all dressed up, which I thought was weird, but regardless, that's why my outfit is strange right now. I should have took the shirt off before I started filming. But, you know, it really just, those two things occurring on approximately the same time, it really just makes me think about how far I've come in BMX and where I was when I started and where I'm at right now. So let me just analyze where I was when I was 13 when I got into BMX. I'm going to be honest, like a lot of you, I was just a lost kid. I feel like I was really I was trying to figure out who I was. I'd been riding mountain bikes for maybe 6 months, 8 months. Like, I had gotten a mountain bike, and me and my friends would ride around on them, and we'd do wheelies and stuff, but I wasn't really into it. Never really felt that passionate or strongly about it, even though some of my friends were more into it than me. And then I noticed that, well, what it really was is if I went through my yearbooks and everything over here on this bookshelf, I'd be able to find, I had a yearbook, I think in 8th grade or 7th grade, where this one dude named Aaron Muse, who I'm still Facebook friends with, he hit me. He basically wrote in my yearbook, he wrote, get rid of your mountain bike, buy a BMX, stop being a FAGGOT, which is not language that we use on this channel anymore, unless maybe Stevie Churchill uses that language on this channel, but that actually made kind of an impact on me because I liked this dude so much. I looked up to him so much as a person that him telling me like stop mountain biking and fucking get a BMX, it actually meant something to me. I was 12, I was 13, something like that. So I got a BMX bike, And I expected that I was going to do both. That I was going to keep riding my mountain bike with my friends for fun and then also start riding BMX. I didn't realize that I was essentially becoming part of a religion. But once I got a BMX bike, it was like everything changed. I kind of stopped kicking it with my normal friends. All of a sudden, I only hung out with my BMX friends. And honestly, it changed my life more than anything else that's probably ever happened to me in my whole life. And I immediately kind of became obsessed with the scene that I was now a part of, and the videos and the magazines, and all of a sudden I was just consuming so much content about BMX, and I was so unbelievably passionate about it. And I mean, it gave me so many different things in life that they're hard to even put into words how much it changed my life, but let me even begin to comprehend. Is like, the main thing that stands out to me about BMX that it teaches you is that it teaches you how to fail and fail and fail, and then eventually one day succeed and be a better person as a result. I remember, like, I really wanted to do a 180 when I was 13 or 14. Like, once I could bunny hop, I just wanted the 180 so fucking bad. And I could do a 180, but I couldn't do the rollout. I'm sure some of you are at this exact same point right now. But it was the fact that I could just go out into my front yard and I could just practice this stuff, whether it was doing a manual or doing a 180 or learning to do a Smith grind or whatever. And I would just go out and just try it every fucking day. And you know, I'm not the kind of person who's a naturally talented BMX rider. You probably could tell that if you watch me ride. But, you know, the fact that I kept working at it and that eventually I just gained some traction, and then all of a sudden I started to get some respect from my friends who would see the fact that I was learning tricks and that I really was working. I mean, I never felt like I had that thing in my life that was fully just feeding my sense of self, I guess is the best way that I could put it. It was never something that I felt like I was, you know, living for or that I really cared about. Like, at that time when I was 13 or 14, I didn't have high hopes for my life. I didn't know where my life was going to go, and to be honest with you, I mean, I was a bad kid. Like, I thought I was probably going to end up in jail. I definitely never thought about starting my own business. I never thought about going to college. I never thought about anything like that. Once I found out about BMX, it breathed life into me, and it showed me that process of just trying something over and over and over again. I stuck with BMX through all the bullshit that happened to me all the way up until I was 22. That's when I started the come up. And at that time, actually, when I started the website, I should tell you about where I was at in my life. I moved out of here when I was 19. By the time I was 21, or actually when I was 20, I moved to New York. I lived in Lowell, Massachusetts, a little bit in between there. And then I get to New York, and I had ideas in my head for what I was going to do. I wanted to make BMX videos. But instead what happened is I ended up hurting my back so bad that I could barely ride BMX at all. So I kind of directed my attention into other things. All of a sudden I was playing online poker all the time, and that was, you know, I wouldn't say it was like feeding my soul, but at least I felt financially independent for the first time in my life, without having to break the law, without having to do some stupid shit to get money. And so that was an amazing feeling. But then it also, I noticed that it left me feeling really empty and really hollow, because there's just I didn't have passion for it. It was something that I found that I was kind of good at and that I was enjoying, but I never had the connection. And then one day I was just sitting there, and what I would do when you're playing online poker is you kind of click back and forth, and a lot of people, you've heard me tell the story before, but you might be looking at some websites on the side while you're also playing poker, and I don't recommend that any of you get into playing online poker these days because it's fucking stupid. But anyway, I would be looking at the first hip hop blog, which is Now Right, and I was looking also at BMX Board, was the BMX message board at the time that was all the rage. And it just slowly started to brew in my head, like, oh, I can't make bike videos right now. I can't be out filming and stuff because I was injured so bad. But I could see just like a place where, oh, like a website about BMX. It's just like this rap website, but it has new videos and new DVD covers, new magazine covers, all that kind of stuff. It just became so clear to me in my head that, like, oh, this is the opportunity. Like, I need to do this. Even though at the time it never would have occurred to me in a million years that I could have made money off of it, that I could have built my reputation off of it, that I could have become completely financially independent because of it. I mean, none of those things ever crossed my mind when I was starting this thing. But I started it anyway. I called it the Come Up, which was just a stupid little joke at the time that, I mean, I will be honest with you, I think the name has aged incredibly well. I love the name. I love the name The Come Up. It represents everything that happened to me as a result of starting the website. So in a weird way, it felt like I was prophesizing what the website would do for my own life when I made it, even though at the time, I could go into more detail some other time, it was really just a joke. kind of at the expense of one of my friends who would always say this, like, oh, I'm gonna come up. I was kind of making fun of him when I made the name, but you know, it became clear to me incredibly quickly that people wanted BMX content online. And the thing that you got to understand about the BMX industry, if you're really young, you might not know this yet, but in the BMX industry, it's very traditional. It's very much that, like, even now, you see people, they still film with VXs. They still only ride street. They still put out DVDs. They don't like to fuck with YouTube too hard. They don't like to fully embrace the internet, because people in BMX, they're traditional. They like to stick with what works. They don't like to, you know, veer off into uncharted territory. The come up at the time was the definition of uncharted territory. There was nobody who was running a BMX website like this. And the only people who were running BMX blogs, I had somebody challenge me on this today when I said that the come up was the first BMX blog. It's not the first BMX blog, because there were blogs in BMX. You had people who ran local scene blogs, like, you know, San Diego BMX or Louisiana BMX, or Fudger and Fat Tony respectively. Those were their websites. You had something like Death Grip, which had BMX content. But the thing about the come up that really stood out was that we weren't making much original content at the time besides interviews. We were really just putting up all the other good stuff that was going on online. And as a result, I mean, you could look at that and say, oh, you weren't creating original content, that's bad. That was actually the glue that held it together, was that you didn't have to feel like you were part of a particular scene in order to relate to the come up at the time. You just had to be interested in BMX, because you would show up on the come up and you never knew what you're going to find every day. It was always going to be something totally different. So, I mean, that to me served it. And I always end up quoting this. There's this Kanye line where he says, everything I'm not made me everything I am. And nothing could be more true about the way that the come up started, because think about all the things that I wasn't. I wasn't a photographer. I wasn't a real videographer. I had a video camera, but I barely knew how to use it. If I had been either of those things, and don't get me wrong, I have huge amounts of respect for everybody who's ever picked up a camera or picked up a video camera, but if I had been either of those things, then of course the website would have reflected that. And I don't think that original content was the thing that was going to propel the come up into what it needed to be. So instead of focusing on those things that I didn't really know anything about, instead I focused on the one thing that I saw as that I could do, which was that I could document what was going on in BMX through the internet. And it just worked. It made a huge difference on my life immediately, like where, you know, where everybody knew who I was all of a sudden, and everybody knew about the website. I remember I went to the Animal Warehouse one day, and Shane Rossi, who's back there now, actually, he's back there after like 10 years. He told me, he just pulls me aside one time when I went there, and he just goes, hey, just so you know, you got every single person in BMX who matters looking at your website now. And I really, like, I didn't know that. Now I know that. Now you can say that to me, I'm like, yeah, I fucking know. At the time, I had no fucking clue. I had no idea that it was becoming this big of a thing. And the thing is I was 22. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had no clue at all. I was so unprepared for this shit that the only thing I can say is that I'm lucky and I'm thankful that I didn't make any moves at that time that would completely obliterate any chance of the website continuing to succeed, because I had never existed in the public sphere. I had never had to deal with any of the things that come with business. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know how to sell advertising. I didn't know how to work with people. I didn't know how to hire people. I didn't know anything at all. And luckily, because of this BMX website, I slowly over time, like, I just had to sit down and I just had to learn this shit. And over time, I figured out how to hire people. I figured out that, you know, I needed somebody to do the ad sales, because that just wasn't what I was suited to do. I figured out that I needed somebody to do the taxes. I brought in Alfredo. He's doing the taxes. He's doing the ad sales. He's doing, you know, loading the banner ad inventory, all this kind of stuff. But the one thing that has always stayed consistent throughout all of that, through all the bullshit on the back end, is that the mission of the site is still fucking exactly the same today. When you go to the come up, and I think it's the mission statement on the side of the site, it might be in the YouTube description of what the site is all about, but the gist of it is, the come up is about one thing and one thing only. And I think the reason why we're so successful after 10 years is because we just want to be the place that you go every day where you find out every single thing that you need to know about BMX and what's going on online that day. And the important thing was that I never paid attention to whether it was our content, whether it was somebody else's content. If somebody puts out something great, we're posting it. If it's a magazine cover of a magazine who doesn't fucking like us, I don't give a fuck. I'm posting the cover because the kids want to see the cover. Maybe not true now. Maybe they don't give a fuck about the cover now. But at the time, it seemed like people really cared about magazine covers. Or something like, oh, like, at the time, it was super common for like a dude to get put onto a sponsor and nobody would post about it online. It would be in the magazines 2 months later. And to me, that just stood out. Like, why the fuck? Why is this information not being put out in a way that people can really enjoy it online? It never made any sense to me. So I would actually go to the extent of, I would go to Barnes & Noble, pick up an issue of a BMX magazine and just go through it and fucking pick out all the little things that were in the news section that hadn't been placed online yet. And I would just basically reiterate that post online, like, hey, this, and I would name my source. I would say where it came from. And that's always the thing that has guided me. It was just that main idea of just wanting to make a BMX website that represents everything that people could possibly want to see online at that time. And now, I mean, that whole concept has blossomed and changed in a lot of ways, where we buy a lot of original video content, we produce a shitload of original video content. Now we do a lot of webisodes and vlogs and everything, which is, of course, something that, you know, nobody even fucking knew about that at the time. 16 minutes, holy shit. Nobody even knew about the concept of a fucking webisode or a vlog or anything at that time. If you had told people in BMX that one day I would be able to make a video of me riding around for one day with my friends and just filming on my phone. This isn't on my phone, but 99% of the stuff that I've put on YouTube in terms of like webisode style content, it's mostly filmed on my phone, and that I would actually be able to get 100,000 people or more to watch these videos. Like, nobody ever would have assumed that that would work. I still kind of can't believe that it works. I really can't believe that there's a shitload of you that's going to sit here and watch me talk in my room. And this is a pretty common thing in my room as a child, where I fucking hung out when I was a little kid. I don't know. It's been a fucking crazy ride. And the only really things that I can attribute to my success in terms of the BMX website is just to be consistent. That's the number one thing, is I just, every single fucking day, I wake up and I look at the internet and I try to find BMX content that I think that kids care about. And I try to stay in that same mentality that I had since I was 22, where if I have something important going on, if I'm busy or whatever, and I see that video and I know that people want to see that video, I still get on the come up and I still post it and I still hunt through it and I still go through the email, and I try not to treat myself much differently than I treat my employees, the people who work for me, because I want them to be just as passionate about spreading BMX on the internet as I am. And I don't want them to ever look at me like, this is this old dude who started this thing and now he doesn't really give a fuck about it. When you go to thecomeUp.com, at almost any given time, I guarantee that you see my name in the posts on there. Might not be everything, it might be a minimal percentage of it, most of it might be the original content, but I mean, that's what really matters to me, is that people never forget that I started this thing because I fucking love BMX, and that absolutely nothing has changed. For the past, I'm at my mom's house right now, I'm bummed out because tomorrow it's gonna rain, so I can't go and ride some fucking local spots with my friends. Right before this, I was in Austin for 8 days, hanging out with Brandon Began, Kareem, Charlie, riding our asses off. Like, some of the best times in my life still, when I think about my best days out riding, are now. Like, it doesn't, the thrill I get from doing a BMX trick, the thrill I get from riding around, knowing that my fucking legs are killing me because I just pedaled 30, 40 miles all day. I mean, those are the best feelings in the world to me still. And it's funny because when I talk to people, a lot of times they are like, oh, like, you know, you must not do any of the BMX stuff anymore now that No Jumper's doing so well for you. And I get why they're saying that. It totally makes sense to me, because, yeah, I could be probably making more money or like furthering something that has a bigger ceiling if I was to just do non-BMX content now, but I wouldn't ultimately feel happy or fulfilled about that. Like, I want to continue to do BMX stuff, and if I become successful outside of BMX, which I guess you could argue that I am slowly starting to become, like, I'll be honest with you, because if you made 20 minutes into this vlog, you probably are a fucking real fan. Lately I've been like interviewing for real jobs, like to be, I don't want to give too much information, but basically to be on TV, doing interviews, doing this kind of stuff. It's offers that I never would have gone out there looking for, but it's stuff that people have brought to me because they see what I'm doing with not just the come up, but also No Jumper. And the fact that they respect that enough to want to offer me a position or whatever is such an honor. But at the same time, there's almost a small part of me in the back of my mind that's like, I shouldn't even be having these interviews, because these are the things that are going to keep me from being able to be out riding with my friends. And realistically, I'm still, in my mind, I'm going to say no to a lot of opportunities in life because I don't want a packed schedule that makes it so that I can't ride BMX with my friends. Like, when people talk about No Jumper and you're doing so well with No Jumper or whatever, I would have started No Jumper way before, but I knew that it would take away a lot of the time that I would have to just be hanging out, riding with my friends. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what the point I'm trying to get across here is, except for the fact that I just want everybody out there to know that I'm thankful and that I can't believe that it's been 10 years, and I can't believe that you guys really fuck with me like that hard, because the success of the come up, you gotta understand, is that so many people in the industry felt like their position or their success was in question or was being challenged by the come up, because we came out with a totally different perspective and essentially through our actions said that what a lot of other people were doing didn't really matter. And I feel like, you know, a huge percentage of the BMX industry at different times tried to fucking take us out, whether starting a direct competitor, which you guys probably don't remember because they failed miserably, but a lot of fucking people tried to take us out, try to create competitors that would rival us. Big, well-funded companies that are owned by giant conglomerations and everything from day one have been trying to fucking take us out. And the fact that we've succeeded in the face of all that, to me, is the result of one thing and one thing only, is that the mission statement never changed, and that we always existed for one reason only, which is to make the fans happy and to make the website that we wanted, because we knew that the people would want it. So that's my, you know, and I could talk about the haters, I could talk about the people who try to take me out all day, every day for the rest of my fucking life. But I mean, there's no point. Like, we're here, and for the most part, they're not here. They're not in the fucking industry anymore. They're not in the game anymore. And one thing is for damn sure is, even if they're still trying to make money off BMX, they don't ride BMX. They don't give a fuck about BMX. They don't know about BMX. So when I look at all the people in the industry, and when I look at myself, and I'm like, yo, like, realistically, the kids still fuck with what I have to say. The kids still care about what I'm doing and what my friends are doing and what my team is doing. And that there's only one explanation for that, which is the fact that I've never wavered in this shit. I've always wanted to be out riding. I've always ran the website like a rider. Even during the times where I was hurt, where I couldn't ride, I always just did everything I could to just present BMX to the kids the way that they wanted it. And I'm proud of the fact that I stuck with it. But I'm even more proud of the fact that, you know, all the people watching this and all the people who still check the come up every day, that they fucking get that inspiration from the site, and that has kept them around instead of moving on. And like, even especially all the people who don't even ride anymore that still bother to check every day. I hear about that all the time, and I consider that a huge fucking, you know, a huge thing of respect, is that even if you don't actually get out on your bike, that's fine. It happens to people. They get families, they get careers, whatever. But the fact that they still fuck with us and that they still care about going and seeing what is happening in BMX through us, I mean, it's such an honor. I can't even begin to say enough about. And as far as the 300,000 subscribers, I mean, that number is a little bit more arbitrary than 10 years. Starting the YouTube was probably the biggest decision that I made in terms of the come up, and the most important thing that I've done since I started the website itself, because the YouTube gave us a chance to be able to make enough money to survive without having to necessarily leech off of fucking companies in BMX, because I see the way that a lot of our competitors and media companies act, and they are so fucking thirsty and hard up for ads that is like the most embarrassing thing ever. I get to hear about it from these companies, and they're like, oh, this fucking company hits me up, you know, 2 times a week. They're always trying to have meetings with me. These motherfuckers are so annoying, and we don't do that. And also, all these fucking companies go in and have meetings with all these media companies who have meetings with our advertisers, and all they fucking do is talk shit about us, blah blah blah, go in about what pieces of shit we are, our kids don't really fuck with us. They say that our views are fake, which is like the most impossible to believe concept that I could ever imagine, that I'm really like buying like 100,000 fake views on every fucking video, not to mention all these likes and comments that apparently we're also buying. And I hear about that, and it trips me out, because we don't do that. I don't know that I've ever really had a conversation with one of our advertisers where I really like aggressively told them how shitty our competition was, because I feel like that fact has always been kind of obvious, is that we're doing the best job. We have the connection with the kids. You see the stats, you see the numbers. We're the ones who are actually have that connection, and they don't, and that's it. And I don't need to tell you that, because you see the fucking numbers. The numbers don't lie online. Well, okay, they do lie, because a lot of you motherfuckers are buying fake followers. But I mean, you know, I feel like I'm so happy with where we're at, and the fact that the YouTube actually could become like a real source of money for us is huge. It gives us a lot more independence to not have to rely on on every other company in BMX, so we don't have to like beg everybody for fucking money all the time. It's not like the way that I want to be running a company, is having to constantly feel like you're just trying to dig every little fucking last penny out of somebody. But I mean, and YouTube, like YouTube to me is the fucking future of how people are going to make a living riding BMX. Because I look at Boker, I look at Adam LZ, now I look at Billy Perry, you could look at us. There's all these people who, despite the fact that the BMX industry is totally fucked and it's really, really hard, harder than ever to make money from sponsorships and everything like that, the fact that you could start a YouTube channel and make videos and you and your friends hanging out and actually make money off of it, even if it's just enough to, you know, buy you some fucking groceries for the week, or enough for you to go out and you know, pay your fucking rent. Maybe you get to the point where you can pay your rent. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. That's a huge accomplishment. And I think that anybody who's ignoring the potential of YouTube is ignoring the potential of BMX and what we could actually do with this, because YouTube is where the BMX community is online. Aside from, you know, Instagram's big, but to me, YouTube is like a crazy fucking community of people who love BMX. And anybody who's ignoring the potential of it, you know, do so at your peril, because the YouTube community, I love you guys so much. I love the fucking support that we get. I love the fact that we put up a video and we got all these stupid ass comments about rope right away. I mean, the YouTube shit keeps me going and has kept me interested, even after I sort of lost some of the interest and the initial zeal from running a BMX website, you know, 7 years in. I kind of started to feel like a little bit less passionate about that, but then with doing webisodes and doing podcasts and just running the channel, I mean, that to me is even better. It's even like more rewarding and stuff to be able to have this as this place for all of our original content. And I don't know, 10 years, 300,000 subscribers. I know that this has been a really like long, rambling vlog. We're at 27 minutes in. I can't go over 30. So I just want to thank some of the people that fucking got me into this position now. First off, like every videographer that we've ever worked with, all the way from Larry Rhodes, who did the Come Up DVD, to Mike Mastroni, who did football and Denver Nugs, to Charlie Crumlish, edited Ruin Your Whole Summer for us, all the way up to Scott Marceau, working on the project that we have coming out soon. Basically, I don't know, I feel lucky that I've had all these people that have been, John Hicks, shout out John Hicks, Plug Prizes, doing so many killer webisodes. Shout out Nate Richter, I can't forget him. I'm forgetting about my like, current crop of dudes that I fuck with. But, you know, I'm super thankful to those guys. I'm super thankful to everybody in the BMX industry who actually recognizes that we are the fucking dudes and that we have that connection with the kids, and that a lot of these motherfuckers out here who are trying to take your money do not have that connection and don't know shit about the people that you're trying to sell product to. You know, I have so much respect for any company that comes in and says to us, like, hey, like, you guys get this shit. Fucking help us market our stuff. You know, we're more than happy to do that. I don't know, I'm thankful to all those companies who supported us. I'm thankful to Alfredo Mancuso for really being like the lifeblood of what keeps the fucking site going behind the scenes. Rob Paik for helping so much with OSS. I feel like I'm probably going to forget so many fucking people. Oh, like the bloggers, of course. I could name everybody, like past and present. I'm not going to even name any names because there's so many fucking people who have blogged and come up over the years. Shit, who else? I gotta thank my parents. I gotta thank everybody I ride with, most importantly. I gotta thank anybody who's ever hooked us up with a video. If you want to make YouTube videos and you want to send them to us and let us check them out, you know, it's pretty easy to figure out how to get in touch with me. Shit, what do we have? 2842. Fuck, I got like a minute to let you guys know who I'm thankful for. Fuck, I'm gonna stop doing the thanks right now and just say like, hey, it's been a fucking wild ride. If I had to guess, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if I was still riding BMX in 10 years, and to be honest, I know one thing for sure is that I'm still going to love this shit regardless of what happens to me and what happens to BMX itself, because, I mean, no matter what, everybody's talking fucking fire and brimstone about the BMX industry, but as long as there's kids like you guys out there who just love riding around, and I don't give a fuck if you're a scooter kid, a mountain bike kid, a skateboard kid, anybody who fucks with us, fixed gear kids, anybody. I mean, if you show us love and you respect BMX and you like what we have going on, I'm thankful as fuck, and I can't think of any other thing to mention except how thankful I am. And maybe I don't say it enough because I'm a cocky fuck, but thank you. BMX for life, the Come Up for life. I love you.